Plato, the famous Greek philosopher, once said, "Those who tell the stories rule society." Now, I'm sure that was easy for Plato to say, considering his success throughout his lifetime, but that quote is as true and as simple as it gets. Tell stories and you can rule the world. I'm sure all of us have told stories throughout our lives because, let's face it, telling people stories about ourselves is what allows them to understand who we are as a person. But have you ever thought about telling stories to an audience while giving a presentation? For all 20 years of my life, it has never occurred to me that telling stories can be one of the most effective ways to give a presentation. That is until I took a class solely focused on giving presentations. From a young age, we were all taught to research topics, throw some bullet points on a slide, and then read and slightly expand on the bullet points for your presentation. We were never taught to bring the presentation to life and add our personality into it. You may be thinking, how on earth do I bring my personality into a presentation? Well, the answer is quite simple. You tell stories. I want you to think about some of the most memorable presentations you've heard. What makes them memorable? For me, it is always the stories that are told. One of my favorite TED Talks I've watched was given by Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, called Why We Have Few Two Women Leaders. She told a story in her presentation about a time she was giving a sales pitch to a room full of men. When the sales pitch was over, everyone needed to use the restroom. When Sandberg asked where the women's restroom was, the man had no idea. She said, "Oh, did you just move to the office?" To which the man replied, "No, we've been here a little over a year." And Sandberg fired back with, "So you're telling me that in over a year, you've never had a woman give a pitch in this room?" And he said, "Well, I guess not." This story has always stuck with me and made her presentation more memorable than it already was. Storytelling is something so simple that is oftentimes overlooked. We all have stories to tell, but why aren't we telling them? I think we can all agree that we would much rather hear presentations with stories in them rather than a presentation with only facts and random numbers that nobody cares about. I remember in my freshman year comm class, we had to give a presentation on what we want our careers to be after college. I thought to myself, why does anyone in this class care about what I want to do with my life after college? Which led me to think, how can I make them care, or how can I at least make them enjoy listening to what I have to say? That's when it hit me. I should tell the story about how I was inspired to have a career as an entertainment reporter. My career aspirations alone are relatively unique. You don't hear very often of people pursuing a degree just to go to red carpet events and interview a bunch of celebrities. But that's what I want to do, and how I figured out I wanted to pursue this career is rather interesting if I do say so myself. I was a senior in high school who had planned on going to school to pursue a nursing degree and play lacrosse. However, I was also a 17-year-old in love with pop sensation Shawn Mendes. One day, I came across a postcard that said, "Win a chance to bring Shawn Mendes to your university or high school." Long story short, I was a very determined superfan, and my high school ended up winning the contest and got Shawn Mendes to come to our high school. Because I was the one who led the campaign to bring Shawn there, I got to spend a decent amount of one-on-one time with him. I felt so lucky and realized that I can do anything I set my mind to. Shawn had a private concert in my high school gym, followed by a 30-minute Q&A. Someone asked, "What's the best piece of advice you can give?" He answered, "Follow your dreams and do not have a backup plan. If you have a backup plan, you will not give your dream 110% of your efforts because you know you have a safety net." It was in that moment that I decided I'm not going to play lacrosse. I am not going to be a nursing major, and I'm going to follow my dreams of becoming an entertainment reporter and go to school for telecommunications and journalism. That's basically how I ended up here at Ball State, because we have one of the best programs for my career aspirations, and Shawn Mendes told me to do so. Sometimes when I'm feeling doubtful of my career, I think back to that moment, and it keeps me motivated to move forward. That is basically the exact story I told my freshman year class, and about a year ago, I saw one of the people from my class, and they were like, "Hey, aren't you the Shawn Mendes girl?" I was shocked they remember, but then again, that's the power of story. So next time you're preparing your presentation, think about a story that can make your presentation stand out and be memorable. Because years from now, at least one person in that room will